So all these different larvae develop into looking like that. Right? So the question is this: you're an entomologist. Is that one species or 10 species? Right? And so what you have to do is you have to make a judgment call about what are the important characteristics. Is it important that the adults all look alike, or is it more important that the larvae look different? Right? Now it turns out for many years the species had one name. They put it all in one species, but later on, with using genetic techniques, they decided there were 10 species, not one. So this is something you are allowed to change your mind. Right? So hopefully, if you get new evidence, especially if you're a scientist, it's a good form to change your mind about things. Okay? You shouldn't stay stuck in your ways. So people, when they got the evidence that not only do they have different forms of larvae that we know about, but these forms are really pretty genetically distinct one from the other, that they were able to decide, let's just call them different species. Here's another example illustrating a problem. So these are sparrows. And of course, birds species are usually identified using plumage. Right? So those are all different species. But I'll tell you this: if you take away all the plumage, or maybe even take off, look at the skeleton, they all look very, very similar. Right? And so in this case, the ornithologists have made the judgment call, and it turns out to be the correct one, that the plumage is the most important characteristic, and so that they can actually use plumage reliably to distinguish among species. But once again, you have to, it takes often a lot of experience and knowledge about the morphology and the history, the natural history of the species, to determine whether you're actually dealing with one species, two species, or three species, right? To actually make these calls. And sometimes these species names and groups actually do change to some extent. Okay, I don't want to talk about that. So going back, I want to talk about another species concept. So that's the morphological species concept. We're only going to be talking about two in this class. The other one is the biological species concept. Or the BSC. Okay, so what is the biological species concept? Well, the idea is that two individuals are in the same species if they freely interbreed. That is to say, they freely interbreed and produce fertile offspring under natural conditions. Okay, freely interbreed under natural conditions. Now, in this way, one way to think about this is, to some extent, you're letting the different individuals decide whether they're the same species or not. Right? There's also some biological factors that are involved in terms of whether the offspring that are produced are fertile. But that's one way of looking at it. Now, there's a lot of debate among evolutionary biologists. Sometimes some people very strongly prefer one species concept. Sometimes people prefer another species concept. Sometimes people prefer species concepts that we're not even going to be talking about in this class. Okay, so there's other ones out there we're just going to be talking about too. But for the purposes of this class, we're going to be concentrating mostly on the biological species concept. Not because I want to impose my beliefs on you or anything, but rather because for our purposes, the biological species concept is going to be the most relevant to understanding speciation. Right? So when we talk about speciation, it's all going to be about what types of factors can cause different populations to not freely interbreed and produce fertile offspring. Right? That's what it's all about in nature. So for our purposes, we're going to be thinking about the biological species concept for that reason. Now, it's not always the case that you can apply easily the biological species concept, even if you think that's the right one. Right? Even if you thought this was the best definition of a species, it's sometimes very difficult to apply it to diagnose whether or not two different species are the same, or two different individuals from the same species or from different species. And the reason is that sometimes doing these types of experiments that would, taking two individuals, putting them into the same cage, and seeing if they produce fertile offspring, that could be a difficult experiment. Maybe you're talking about things you really don't want to have in the lab that might eat you or bite you or something like that. Right? There's some circumstances where it's very difficult to do the husbandry of the animals, and sometimes animals get stressed out in captive environments. They don't act naturally. Right? So it can be quite difficult to apply in real life, although there's enough cases where it can be applied in controlled conditions where it can be still useful. And it also doesn't apply for all people. So for instance, what's a paleontologist supposed to do? Right? You can't. I'll tell you what will happen. I don't have to do the experiment. If I take two different individuals that may even be from the same species, but they're fossils, and I put them into a box, I'm not going to get the fossils out. Right? Paleontologists cannot apply the morphological species concept. The biological species concept. They're out of luck. They have to rely on the morphological species concept, whether they like it or not. Right? So there are some issues involved in applying the biological species concept. Let me go to this example here. It's a really cool example. Here's a, we'll call it a problem, but it's a kind of interesting feature that can come up. This is from California, obviously that's our state. Encentina, it's a salamander that lives in the state. This is a system, a group of species that's been studied for a large part of Professor Wake's career. Professor Wake is a retired herpetologist in this department. He's probably one of the most famous individuals in our department. He's National Academy of Sciences. He's a very well-known, superb scientist. And he studied, like I said, these salamanders. And this species is what people call a ring species, R-I-N-G, a ring species. And this is what's remarkable about the species. It appears to be one species, and if you want to think about it, you can think about dividing up its range into different populations. You can say, okay, here's the most southern individuals in the species, and then here's kind of the San Diego guys, the Los Angeles guys. There's some in Camp Pendleton that he's taken, and they go all along the coastal range, all the way up to Northern California, and you can basically look at populations all along the way, up around the top of the very northern part of this range, and then down along the Sierra Nevadas. Right? That's where it lives, the foothills. So it should look pretty familiar to you. Now the important point is this: if you ask whether this population can breed and form fertile offspring with this population just adjacent to it, the answer is yes. And you can ask the question: does this population can it interbreed with individuals from here and produce fertile offspring? The answer is yes. You can do that all along the range. Doing this experiment, does the next adjacent species or the next adjacent population rather can they interbreed? And the answer is yes. Right? Until you get to this point, and you ask, can these guys interbreed and breed with and produce fertile offspring with these guys? Right? This is kind of like you think about the ring, and then right here where the two ends of the ring, right? I'm not talking about really a ring. I'm talking about a horseshoe of sorts, right? Can the very tips interbreed and form fertile offspring? The answer is no. Or when they do have hybrid form, they're maladaptive, which is bad. So the interesting thing is that if you were just to look at the very ends of the ranges, you might conclude that they're different species, even though they can freely interbreed all along their range. So this is an example of where you have gene flow occurring along the range, in a linear manner. That is to say, you have genes from this population getting to this population, genes from this population getting to this population, and so forth. But the chance of a gene getting from here to here, although it will happen, it happens so slowly that by the time you get to the ends of the ranges, the two populations are so divergent that they cannot form good offspring. That is a ring species. It's kind of cool. But it also points out some of the problems using the biological species concept. You'd see free interbreeding all along the range except where they meet at the very ends. Here's another example. That's a baboon. And historically, it was thought that there were like 7 different species of baboons in Africa. And when people actually started to realize that where these different species met, where they came into contact at the edges of the ranges, they're actually forming breeding and forming offspring that were fertile. They decided to revise their opinions about whether you had 7 species. They actually clumped them into 5 species, I believe, was the number. Okay? So you went from 5 to 1 species at one point. And then the question becomes, and this is more of a kind of legalistic thing, what do you call that new species? Because you used to say that there were 5 different species, and now you're going to lump them all together into one species. What name do you assign to it, right? And there's actually rules governing this, believe it or not. And the rule is that you look at those 5 species that you're lumping together. They were all described at different times and named at different times. You look at the first one. Which of those 5 species was first described, and use that name when you clump them all together. Okay, that's the rule. I guess you can always break rules. What are they going to do to you? But might not get the paper published, I guess. anything else I wanted to say about the biological species concept before I go on? Oh, there's another point I want to make. It's usually the case that which species concept you apply does not matter that much, right? That you're dealing with some organisms that are so differentiated that, as I say, they speciated such a long time ago. You had not only lots of genetic differences that have accumulated that prevent them from interbreeding and forming fertile offspring, so that we pass the biological species concept, but they look different. And so you would have said the different species just by looking at them based on the morphological species concept. So usually it's the case that you can apply both of these concepts and not get contradictory answers. In fact, that's the usual case. And people have noted, for instance, when you go into Papua New Guinea and ask the locals, the people that live in the forest and actually really know the environment well, how many species of birds they recognize. You might not call them species, you might say how many types of birds, or whatever you want to say. And they say, oh yeah, they list, we've got this bird, that bird, that bird, that bird. And they go through a list, and then you ask the professional ornithologists what bird species they recognize, and they would recognize the same ones. The overlap would be almost perfect. Not necessarily universally, not perfect, but almost perfect overlap between them. So it's usually the case that species identifying in the nature isn't too problematic. I'm pointing out the most difficult examples just to illustrate some of the problems, but usually it's not a problem. Okay. Now, it's also, there are some practical, identifying species is of practical importance. I mean, evolutionary biologists, of course, are interested in species, especially those who are studying speciation, right? But that's their professional interest. But they're also practical importance as well. Not because laws have been passed in this country that regard the protection of species that are deemed to be endangered, going extinct. And this is, you've probably heard of this, but it's the Endangered Species Act. It was passed in 1973. And it is of significance. And that's because, as I said, if you have a species that is deemed to be in danger of going extinct because of human activity, such as developing a certain area or whatever, then you have to curtail that activity. Right? That's the law. And if you're somebody who wants to develop an area, that's a consequence because it costs you money. Right? You're not going to be able to develop land perhaps that you thought you were going to be able to develop. And so this, actually correctly identifying species is the point I want to make. Correctly identifying species is of economic consequence. And so you have to be very careful when people describe the species. You have to be very careful they've got their act together, that they're doing things correctly. Because some people could suffer. And an example of this, there's several examples I'll point out, but I'll point out two. One was more consequential in terms of economics than the other. But this is Delphinium bakerii. It lives up near Tamales Bay, just north of us. Everybody knows where Tamales Bay is? No? It's a little bay. It's a very long, skinny bay. You go about 45 minutes north of San Francisco, rather, along the coast. That's where the San Andreas Fault runs right through the middle of the bay. Right? It's a very beautiful area. It's like my favorite part of the country. If I could ever get my wife to retire to a place that doesn't have any people, which I don't think will happen. But anyways, this is near this species. It's a species of Delphinium. It's found only in one small population near the town of Marshall, near Tamales Bay. And people recognize it as a species. They realize that its range was incredibly restricted. This is a species that lives there, not in that area, but in that little area, a very area the size of this room almost. Right? It's a very restricted habitat. And there were people had some ideas of developing that particular area, which would have involved plowing over the habitat of this particular species. And so people filed suit using the Endangered Species Act and were able to stop that type of development. Now, I don't know what your opinions are. It doesn't really matter what your opinions are one way or the other on this, but you can't deny that that act had the curtailment of that development had consequences. It had consequences certainly for the species, which is still around undoubtedly, but also somebody suffered economically. So these are important and decisions that you don't make lightly. Okay? Maybe if this were just one population of a very widespread species, you'd say if we knock out that population, it's unfortunate, but it's not going to knock out the species. We're not going to lose that unique set of genes forever. Right? One way to think about it. But in this situation, that wasn't the case. Another case, which is kind of a fun one. I was only very indirectly involved in this, and by indirect, I mean I was sitting next to this person in graduate school. Right? That's not really being involved, but at least I got to observe. Right? So when I was in graduate school, I was in a herpetology lab. As I say, I was the only theoretician in a sea of people who liked herps, frogs, salamanders, snakes, lizards, that type of stuff. I guess I like them now, but I didn't really like them at the time. And Paul Chippendale studied this particular species of salamander that lives in Central Texas. It lives in the streams, it lives in the caves. He did all sorts of collecting. He went everywhere in Texas, including he did a lot of spelunking, collecting these cave salamanders. And he did a lot of work on the genetics of these salamanders. Basically, he did a lot of very neat work showing the different population structure in this particular species of salamander. And he also described a couple of these species which they recognized later mostly because they're genetically different. I mean, I look at these things and they all look pretty much the same, but they were able to recognize that some of these populations, even if they look superficially the same morphologically, were quite different genetically. Right? And they, in some cases, they could actually find some morphological differences. That's the background. Paul Chippendale studied salamanders. Now, one of the species one of the populations he studied was in this pool. So how many people have been to Austin, and does anybody know what this place is? Yes. That's Barton Springs. Very good. So Barton Springs is Austin's a great city, and this is one of the things that makes it great. Barton Springs. It's basically a creek. You can see the dam at the end was dammed up, and it forms this pool. And it's a great hangout during the summers. People hang out there. They sunbathe, get skin cancer, but they also swim, right? And one of the populations he studied actually lives right there, right underneath the diving board. Right? That's where it lives. And it turns out that particular population not only was genetically distinct from everybody else, every other population studied, but also had some morphological differences that he could recognize. He recognized it and described it as a different species. Right? Now here's the catch. Right? So we have a unique species, according to Paul and David Hillis, living right here. It's genetically distinct. It's morphologically distinct. And the problem is this: this is a natural pond. It's a creek, and a lot of people swam it. But a lot of people would come to the people that sort of manage this park and say, "Look, I was swimming and there were some weeds in there. That's really gross, weeds." And eventually the Park Service said, "Look, we'll get rid of your weeds." Right? So what they do is occasionally is open up the dam, the water would drain out, and they power wash the bottom of the creek there. Right? Get rid of all the weeds, and people are very happy. Who wants to be swimming and have weeds touch your legs? It's gross. Well, the problem is you can imagine what the power washing does to the salamanders that live there. Right? It's not the best thing in the world. Now, in the previous case, there was real economic consequence. In this case, the solution was actually quite simple. Don't power wash the bottom of the creek, right? And that's ultimately what they ended up doing, is to protect the salamanders. So this is one of these cases where the solution wasn't, I guess some people still might go ew when they swim, but it's not really, the solution wasn't that dramatic, right? It was a pretty simple solution. And people, one of the problems is there've been huge droughts in Texas recently, so a lot of these populations are in danger of going extinct just for that. But that was a solution that was come up for this particular unique species in Barton Springs in Austin, Texas. So I believe that for once in like 6 or 7 lectures, I'm now caught up, and so we will actually talk about speciation like I wanted to originally next lecture.